Hello friends, Adam here with FED. Before we get started talking about team composition in Fire Emblem Three Houses, I would love to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel, especially in the past couple days. We gained like 150 subs yesterday, and we've gained like 100 in the couple days prior to that. You guys are just really blowing my mind, blowing me away. I really appreciate it. We're getting very close to 10,000, like less than 300 away now. So please, if you haven't, I'd really appreciate a sub from you. Help us get to that 10,000 mile marker. Again, we're so close. And Maggie and I just can't be more appreciative than we are. We are so thankful for everybody. But now let's move on to why you're here, the team composition in Fire Emblem Three Houses. I've made videos on this in the past, and I kind of regret some of the things I have said. And with all these videos I'm making about different classes that I think are lackluster, with the Holy Knight, Mortal Savant, Hero, and whatever else, and also Great Knight. Great Knight's the other one I did. I was like, I know I've done another one. But with all of that, I've been thinking a lot about what a good team composition really looks like. And it really just comes down to a few basic rules that I keep coming back to in my head. So number one is, and this is for Maddening Mode. On Hard Mode and Normal Mode, you can really do whatever you want. And on Maddening Mode, you can really do whatever you want too. But this is just some ideas to hopefully make it a bit easier for you in the long run. So on Maddening, you don't really want every unit to be a flyer. You know, on Normal and Hard, that makes the game go quicker. It's easy to get away with. But on Maddening, especially not New Game Plus, so just regular New Game, you really don't have access to enough good flying battalions to make it worth being just in a flying class for everybody. Now, do I still think Wyvern Lord and Falcon Knight are the best classes in the game? Yes. But do I also think that there is a lot of merit to being a cavalry unit or an infantry unit? Of course, and that is mainly because of Gambits. So some of the best Gambits of the game are locked to ground units. I could be wrong on this, but this is my memory. Things may have changed with DLC and whatever else. But to my knowledge, like what I remember, is you need for stuff like Retribution, for the one that gives you automatic miracle blessing is what it's called. Impregnable Wall, really good skills for Maddening, or I should say really good Gambits for Maddening that are only on ground units. So you can't use them with flyers. There are some really great flying battalions, especially if you go Golden Deer. Again, this is New Game. If you're on New Game Plus, maybe you have 3 or 4 of these. But the Ashes and Dust Gambit that come with Claude in Part 2, super good. Best Gambit in the game. As far as damage dealing goes, or as far as locking enemies down goes. Really, really good, really, really strong. Huge area of effect. Really great. But other than that, there's like really not many very good Gambits attached to flying. There aren't very many Gambits attached to flying units that are really good and really useful and have utility. So that's one reason you don't want a ton of flyers. Honestly, I would cap it out in a Maddening playthrough. On a fresh file Maddening playthrough, I'd cap myself out at 3 or 4 flyers. I would never have more than that. I shouldn't say never, but I generally wouldn't have more than that. And a lot of times I'll only have 2 or 3, maybe even 1 if I'm just having fun and doing my own thing or whatever. But you don't want too many flyers. I say you can get away without having any flyers, but I would say you might be in a little bit of trouble if you have more than 3 or 4. Next, as far as team composition goes, I really like to have a lot of healers on the field. And that's where units like Mortal Savant, Holy Knight, Dark Knight, these classes that seem honestly kind of lame, really have some utility. They give you access to magic, or I should say it's a good chance to give a physical unit magic utility. Particularly Mortal Savant I like for this. Putting a unit like Byleth or Felix or Sylvain or I don't know, like Ignatz, Ash, characters that have like decent white magic spells and by decent I mean like Physic, or if they have like Recover, which is a really potent healing spell. But you also want them to have like a physical fair, like Sword Fair or something. That's honestly a pretty good place to put them, is in that class. And of course, there's like Trickster would be good for that too. Less Trickster, more War Monk, War Cleric with Fist Fair. Pretty good stuff. And it gives you some access to white magic. So that's really the utility there. I like to have a lot of healers. It just makes the game safer and easier. Actually, my very first playthrough ever, I made Dimitri a Holy Knight after having him in Paladin. I didn't realize the intricacies of everything, and that made his stats a little worse. But it actually came in clutch a couple times in like the last map, where he was able to heal someone who was in danger because he was in the front lines and he was mounted and had a lot of movement. So all that to say, I do appreciate the mixed classes more now that I've talked about them than I used to. So if you like using them, feel free to use them. They can be good stuff. And my last tip, my last team composition idea is just make whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Every team is viable. You could beat Maddening. Mecha just did it beat Maddening with just Byleth. Soloed the game. And if that doesn't, and Rangor has beaten the game with 0% growth. So if those two things don't tell you anything, let it be known that just means anything can work in Three Houses. You can make just about anything work in Three Houses, and it makes it a really open and fluid game. And actually, one more thing. Do whatever you want with your party, but I have one suggestion. Classes in Three Houses are way more fluid than they have ever been in the series. It is so easy and actually free to change between classes, between chapters. As long as you've certified into it, you can always change back into it at the beginning of a map, or in between, in the middle of the month or whatever, so that you can make use of different abilities, different classes, different mastery skills, like Hunter's Volley versus having more movement as a Bow Knight, stuff like that. Yeah. So, my favorite example of this, I've shared it before, is I had Leonie as a Pegasus Knight through most of the game, but I also had her learn Bow Knight, become a Bow Knight, because I had her as a flying like archer unit throughout the entire game, and I had her switch between Pegasus Knight and Bow Knight depending on what I needed at the time. And this was on Golden Deer, and if you know the last map of Golden Deer, I actually had her switch back to Pegasus Knight for the last map, just for the flying utility of it all. She still did really good, but it was nice to have Bow Knight to fall back on, so that I could have a unit with 8 move, and also +2 range or whatever it is really far range. It's really awesome stuff like that. So I really appreciate the idea of not just sticking with one class, but switching between classes. It is it makes the game just a much more. It makes the game easier in the long run if you're willing to be more fluid with your classes. I do appreciate set it and forget it builds. I get that, and those are really good too. But don't limit yourself to just saying this unit is going to go on this class line and be done with it. And on top of that, there aren't really class lines in Three Houses, it turns out. Anyone who's decided that they were going to do a quote-unquote hero class line realize that there's not really a hero class line. Sure, you can go mercenary into a hero, but there's no point, It's okay, well, then after that, what do? There's no master class for quote-unquote master class for hero. There is no real... that's not really a thing, it turns out. And I'm learning that the more I look into classes and the more I read your guys' comments and stuff like that. And I really appreciate all that knowledge. Honestly, I don't have a whole lot of time to put a video together today, so I really wanted to just give you my free-flowing thoughts. Maggie and I are hopefully getting our... I shouldn't say hopefully, but Maggie and I have officially been called for a foster care placement, so we will be getting she's a newborn, brand new. We're gonna pick her up from the hospital here soon, so it's a bit of a stressful time. And on top of that, I have a bunch of family visiting in town, just happenstance. They just happen to be here at this time, so it is the perfect storm of just a bunch of crap that I have going on, and it's all fun, exciting stuff, but today's video is going to suffer because of it, and I'm really sorry about that. But thank you for watching, and again, thank you to everyone who has subscribed up to this point. We're getting close to 10,000, so if you aren't subbed, please do. Just click the button, just pull the trigger, make my day. It really helps the channel grow. It's really great stuff. And of course, like the video too. It helps with visibility, helps other people find this video, so they'll subscribe and join the channel. It's all this good stuff. And of course, last but not least, leave a comment. What is your favorite way to build a team? What is team composition to you in 3 houses? What are your tips for new players, particularly talking about Maddening Mode? But again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time, friends.